And that's it. We are on the internet. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm great.
Awesome. So this is Samantha Bense. Samantha is an ISR instructor, and she's also the co-founder and founder of aquaBelly, which is a national water fitness brand. They do water aerobics, and they teach kids how to do all kinds of awesome things in the water. And they're growing just from Florida throughout the whole country, right?
Correct.
Awesome. How's that working?
It's good. I'm actually going on a summer road trip to expand the brand and to visit some of my instructors in Georgia and Kentucky, out in California, and hopefully get up to Michigan and a little bit of Canada to train some new instructors.
So you're going on tour?
Sort of.
Is there a tour bus? Like, how does this work?
The tour bus is called the Honda Element. That's
Okay.
my car. It's the best car for anyone that teaches water fitness or does water safety because it's basically like a go-go gadget waterproof car.
Nice.
The seats are like wetsuit material, and the ground, the inside is all plastic. And
I can see like a Jeep working too.
a Jeep would be good.
My brother has a Jeep Wrangler, and he hoses out the inside,
That would be cooler.
Yeah. When he takes the doors off,
Yeah, that would be much cooler than my car.
Nice. So if you can, did you find it down there so we can see if people comment?
Yeah.
You have the longest password I've ever seen. All right, let's scroll through. And hey, sir, you want to find it for her? Thanks.
Sorry.
That's all right, no problem.
I'm so untech savvy.
Hey, it happens. So if you can, give us the origin story of how you started from baby up to glamorous water safety extraordinaire.
So I was a school teacher for about 7 years. I taught anywhere from 4th through 12th grade. I taught science and math and marine biology, and because that's what my degree is in, BS.
So you went to school for marine biology?
I did. I went to FAU. I'm an owl.
Oh, nice.
Local.
So are you an actual local?
Yeah. I didn't grow up here. I grew up I was born in Vermont.
Okay.
But there was plenty of bodies of water even up there.
Of course.
Even though not everyone had a pool.
Right.
But we lived on a mountain and we had a pool. I learned to swim when I was 6 months old.
Nice.
At the local Y.
I would say that I'm one of the 5 actual locals of Boynton Beach.
Oh, wow.
I was born in Bethesda down the street.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Great hospital.
There's about 7 of us, I think roughly 7.
I teach a bunch of anesthesiologist kids from
That's
there.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So you went to school for marine biology because you wanted to be a marine biologist?
I did, because we moved to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and I thought the manatees in my backyard were like my best friends. So I actually became a marine biologist.
Okay.
And then instead of hopping on like a research boat, I decided to teach because that's where my real passion is. Mm-hmm. So I got a job at a Montessori school, and then I taught at American Heritage. I taught at Park Vista High School.
I did Montessori.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for 1 year for kindergarten, but my roommate did it all the way up through high school.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a real deal Montessori person.
There are a lot of the lifeguards at the YMCA in Boca that do Montessori or homeschooling. It's really great.
That's awesome.
So
there's nobody yet. You're good.
It's okay. Yeah. You got it.
Miranda and Peter here.
Oh, cool. Hi, them.
Hi. So after I decided I didn't want to teach anymore, they started putting science on the FCAT, and I was like, sorry, this is not how you learn science. So I took a break, a little hiatus. I taught tennis and golf to little kids.
Okay.
And that's how I got involved with like teaching little ones. Mm-hmm. And actually, in your neighborhood, my business partner was teaching ISR because she had children. And she asked me for some help with her son one day. And she's like, this is what you should do. Because it really incorporates a psychological background, science background. And it takes like a really amazing, effective approach to teaching water safety. Okay. So I went ahead and got my certification 10 years ago. And ever since then, that's what I've been doing.
When you were 13?
No.
Not quite. And so you started ISR, and then you've evolved into aquaBelly as well as an adjunct kind of thing?
Totally. So we would see like a lot of moms that were coming to classes that were either pregnant or they just had a baby. And we basically become almost poolside bartenders, I would say, because the moms will tell us, like we see each other every day and we become really, really close. And they would talk to us about their concerns and they're like, gosh, you guys just have the best job because you're bouncing around in the pool all the time and you're in great shape, and we want to be that way. So Christy and I started aquaBelly to provide this service to moms.
Okay.
Because there were no other programs around other than some prenatal yoga classes and like not a lot. And a lot of moms were coming and they were getting like hernias because instructors weren't fully certified in what they were doing. And like they would go to a Pilates class and the instructor didn't know how to make a modification to prevent a hernia because they didn't know about something called like diastasis recti. It's like when the abs split apart when you're pregnant.
Gotcha.
So we developed a program where our instructors become complete pre and postnatal exercise specialists pertaining to the water specifically.
So this is specifically prenatal or postnatal or both?
Both.
Okay.
And then we've expanded past there because then moms didn't want to stop coming to classes because they love the water and they found all the benefits of it. So we started doing beyond postnatal, or I don't have kids, so just me. We do aqua booty, or I train former MMA fighters that have shoulder injuries.
Nice.
So all kinds of stuff. I actually just finished up a session with a woman that was paralyzed on the whole left side of her body
Okay.
from a brain surgery that she had, and she can walk in the water.
Wow. I can walk in the water.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you walk on water?
Sometimes.
I bet you can.
Occasionally, yeah. Say there's a big UFC fight this weekend. About the MMA fighter.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, for people who don't know, explain kind of what ISR is and the curriculum and why it's important.
Sure. So ISR stands for Infant Swimming Resource, which is a self-rescue swim lesson program.
Infant Swim Resource or Infant Swim Rescue? Because I've seen both.
It's Infant Swimming Resource.
Okay.
A long time ago, it's been around for over 30 years. It was called like Infant Swim Rescue.
And they rebranded.
They rebranded.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's a little confusing.
Yep.
And it's not IRS. It's ISR.
I see people
my
do that
mom
all the
mom
time.
cannot get it right. I love her. Love your mom, but it's ISR. Please don't confuse us with
The
one
tax
of the
organization.
scariest things there is. We love you. Just kidding.
Don't audit us.
Yeah. But anyways, it's a self-rescue swim lesson program for children that are 6 months up to 6 years old. And then on top of that, I teach stroke beyond. So basically, children learn how to save themselves if they're ever in an aquatic accident.
How do they do that?
They learn a method of breath control, learning to swim under the water, holding their breath, automatically floating onto their back independently, and then flipping back over to swim. So they could either get to the edge of the pool and out and safe, or they'd remain floating until a parent could come and get them.
Gotcha. And how do the lessons work?
So the lessons are 10-minute lessons. They're all based on sensory motor learning. The parents don't need to be in the water, but they're invited to sit on the side of the pool to cheer and support their child and tell them how much they believe in them and what a good job they're doing. And the lessons are Monday through Friday for 10 minutes per day for between 4 to 6 weeks, which is actually about 20 to 30 lessons. I had to go over this with a big group of parents that I taught in the afternoon, that it is really 20 to 30 lessons. We had rain for like the past 2 weeks, if you don't remember the huge monsoons that we were having. So it's actually skill-based. It's not just based on like one like set of standards. All the lessons are super unique to each child. And I don't really have that many students that cry anymore.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that is a thing, right? Sometimes, a lot of kids are in the water, they're not used to it, they're not comfortable.
Right.
And, a lot of parents don't like the stress their kids get under. But, that's better than the alternative.
So I had one of the few times in a lesson that I actually lost it and I did cry myself was because a man at the YMCA came over and he was swimming in a lane next to me because I teach at the Boca Raton YMCA. It's a heated indoor pool. He was a dad that had lost a child, but not due to drowning. He had come over and he said to the mom and dad, "Thank you for what you're doing. I know it's hard, but you are hearing your child cry and breathe." I never got to hear my son cry.
Wow.
Because when he was born, he couldn't breathe.
That's crazy.
So I've told that story a lot, and that's why I'm not crying now. But it was heartbreaking, and it was like he said, "Thank you, parents." And that resonated with them the entire extent of lessons. They never let it bother them again.
How could you, right?
Right.
And it's true, though. this is a much better experience than your child not knowing how to save him or herself, if, she did end up in the pool, and so it starts off in like a swimsuit kind of thing, right?
Yep, so the kids come just in there, they wear a swim diaper, they wear their bathing suit, and then once they've perfected all of the skills, they've practiced if they fell in the water, if they rolled in the water, if they were thrown in the water, jumped in, hopped over a fence. I have had a little student, and I'm very good friends with their family. Like after lessons, we were like having dinner and like a happy hour, and Mila literally tried to propel herself over a fence.
Okay.
So they had the awesome pool fence. So now the last layer of protection would be that if she did in fact
make it over,
become Supergirl and make it over the fence,
a pole vaulter,
a pole vaulter, she would get into the water, roll on her back, and float or swim to the edge of the pool.
Right.
And she could do it in her full clothes because she practiced in a dress, she practiced in a snowsuit, because when they go to Croatia and it's cold, she might be in a snowsuit and fall into a lake.
I remember, I don't think it was ISR, my brother did swim lessons when he was real young, and they had like a graduation where you walk up and get your certificate.
Oh, cute.
And it was cute, but what they do is when you're walking up to get your award, they push you in the pool. Full dressed, shoes on, shirt, the whole nine.
Well, that's great.
And then he had to save himself.
Yeah, that's awesome that he could do it.
And that's how you graduate. You did it.
That's pretty good.
It was kind of mean though.
I would say the thing that's kind of changed maybe since when we were younger, that
he's 30-something years old. This is 33 decades ago.
Like maybe we're teaching a little bit more towards hope as opposed to fear.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's a good thing to scare someone. I'd rather scare a parent and say, drowning is a real thing. And if you don't have a fence, and if you don't have the locks, and if you just care about your pool looking beautiful, I want to scare you and say drowning is real and it happens. But I don't ever want to scare a child. Right. I don't want them to know anything about drowning.
Yeah. We used to call his lessons rollover and puke because he did a lot of that, But they weren't as developed as they are now, obviously,
Those were my lessons to ski.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Rolling down a mountain and throwing up?
Like falling off a ski lift. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Just didn't care for me. She cared for the two other kids that were on the lift with us. I fell face forward when I was 3 in the snow.
I had a friend who learned how to snowboard, and he said, grown man, he said he was in tears by the end of the mountain. Like it was the most painful, miserable thing he'd ever done before. And then he got good at it, but the first time he was terrible. He hated it.
It's good. Challenges are good.
Yeah, and ice hurts.
Ice hurts.
Yeah, so I hear. It looks soft and fluffy, but apparently it hurts. That's why I live in Florida.
Yeah.
And I stay here. I've never lived outside of Boynton, so I'm pretty happy about that.
That's a good spot to live.
It's nice. I'm a fan. So, if you could give parents advice on how to make their pool safer, given that drowning is the number one accidental killer of kids between 1 and 4 years old, not just in Florida, but nationwide. It passed cars a few years ago, which is terrible, both because cars are getting safer and drowning is going up.
So sad.
It is. So what would you tell people to make their pool safer?
I would say if you're going to have a pool, you have to protect it. Just like you would if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you're an aunt and you have a nephew or a niece that comes over. I would even say if you have like
neighbors,
yeah. But like really neighbors that come over, like if you don't have neighbors that come over, you have to have secure pool fencing. You have to have the given fences that we're required to in Florida, but then a actual pool fence, and it needs to 100% circle the pool. It can't just be part of it. And a screen that maybe is built into your house, that doesn't count as part of the pool fence to me, because it can be broken through very easily.
Yeah, you want to isolate the pool from the backyard.
Correct.
And the way I always put it is, if you wouldn't have a car without seatbelts,
right,
you shouldn't have a pool without protection of some kind, whether it's a pool fence or...
Right. I mean, I rode around in the back of a truck on mountains in Vermont all the time,
right,
and I'm just lucky that I'm alive when I was a child. Yeah. We don't do that anymore.
Well, and you hear those arguments, when I grew up, I survived and we didn't have a fence, we didn't have ISR lessons, we were fine. And I was just say, yeah, you grew up without seatbelts too. And that didn't mean it was a good idea. Like you know better now.
Yeah.
We used to prescribe cigarettes to people with asthma. You know, we don't do that anymore.
We used to grow up without juice cleanses.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Ways to get healthy. To prevent. So it's all about prevention. How about let's not focus on what happens when something happens. Also, like if you're having a party or you're having a play date, make sure to close the pool fence every single time. And I really...
Well, it should have a self-closing, self-latching gate, ideally.
True.
Yeah.
And if you do have it, constantly check to make sure it's working. Because things can happen.
Of course, yeah.
So just always check. I would say you must always have a water watcher, a pool CEO, whatever you want to call it, a boss, something that either has a whistle or a loud voice and has great eyes. That is always watching, and it has to be one person, not multiple, because there have been too many accidents where one person thought the other person was watching. And
there's actually a psychological phenomenon called diffusion of responsibility, where if there's a lot of, you're actually more likely to be safe if you're the only person there, because if there's a lot of people, everyone thinks someone else is watching, because no one wants to be responsible.
That would even be apply to like self-preservation.
Yeah, it works for anything.
We have a guest.
Yeah, it's okay. You want to let Josie know?
Hi.
So, anyways, that's her mom. But yeah, it's true for anything, right? It's true for water safety. It's true for anything.
Self-care.
Self-care, right? If you're the only one in charge, that you're going to make sure that it gets done right. And I agree 100% about the water washers. And I would add to that you should probably change shifts every so often.
Yes, because you don't get tired. Just like the lifeguards do at pools
right,
or at the beach.
They're pros, and they can only do it for 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
You're not a pro. I figure cut it in half, 15 minutes. And plus, you want to be able to enjoy the gathering, and you want to be able to get back on your phone and maybe have a beer, so it's good to switch it up.
Yeah, life is real. We're not expecting anyone to not have real life.
Right, exactly.
And I would also say to make sure that if you have children, and especially around water, that you become CPR, first aid.
100%.
Certified in infant, adult.
All CPR.
Everything.
Yeah, CPR is easy to learn. There's lessons everywhere. They're free a lot of places.
Right.
There's no reason not to be CPR certified. And I have a friend of mine. Her name is Laura Metro, and she started a foundation. It was called the Clay Foundation after her son Clay had a non-fatal drowning where he fell in the pool and he was medevaced out, and he survived. And thankfully, he's totally fine.
That's amazing.
He was in a coma for a couple days. I mean,
so scary.
He's a rare story where you hear that everything was fine. But how
super rare.
Yeah, how he was saved was someone there at the party started doing CPR, but he didn't actually know CPR. He literally did what he'd seen on TV, but it was enough that when the paramedics got there, everything was fine. Not everything was fine, but he recovered, and they attribute his recovery to that early CPR. So she does a thing, and she promotes a thing called CPR Parties, which are like Tupperware parties, where you get a bunch of moms over or parents over, and you have an instructor come. And you hang out and you learn, the CPR basics. You don't get certified, but you get enough to be dangerous.
Yep.
And, they encourage you to go on and become certified. But, just in case that ever happens, at least you know enough that you could theoretically do something in case of an emergency, And they make it fun, and it's a group, and, there's probably cocktails afterwards,
That's cool. That sounds like the one I just did, but it was like an unofficial. Like an unofficial.
Well, I don't think she has like I'm sure there's a brand to it, but she wants people just to do it everywhere.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of doing it. You don't necessarily, getting certified is obviously ideal, but the next best thing is at least know how to do some kind of CPR.
Right.
So that you can, perform the actions. Anything's better than nothing. It's kind of a just do something scenario.
True, and I think in the state of Florida, aren't we like a Good Samaritan state where we're like required to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think
I don't remember what the term is called.
It's Good Samaritan. It's what it is. Yeah, where I think you might get legally in trouble if you don't help out.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about that, but it's here, so it is.
But I guess we have to do it because South Florida, there's some unkind people.
Yeah, it might be everywhere, but yeah, I'm with you on that. So talk about aquaBelly. So you started aquaBelly how long ago?
In around 2010.
Okay.
And we currently...
So you've been doing ISR for 3 or 4 years, and then you got enough...
No, so I've been doing...
No, I mean, you had been. So you started...
Oh, yes.
You started 10 years ago, and you did ISR for 3 years, and then you were like, all right, this has become a thing, and...
Right. Exactly. So it was just like a natural expansion. So when moms come to aquaBelly classes, we really get to share. They're 50-minute classes. Moms come 2 to 3 times per week, and we get to talk a lot. So the classes are kept to about only 10. So I can give like very personalized instruction. So it's group instruction, but it's kind of personal too. And we talk about all kinds of things. We talk about water safety. We talk about nutrition for babies and what, like, the benefits of being in the water, what it can do for them. And then they can come to an aquaBelly baby class, which is a great transition between ISR, because ISR lessons start at 6 months, but babies can start aquaBelly baby at 3 months because they're able to regulate their own body temperature.
Okay.
And we provide, like, if it's an indoor pool, we don't have to worry about sun. Chlorine's not an issue. There have been tons of studies, like even done in the UK and some in the United States now, that say it's totally safe. The children aren't submerged, so we don't have to worry about that, because at 3 months, or maybe even a little bit earlier than that, their natural swimming and diving reflex, it's called, goes away. So that was what they learned in utero, how to hold their breath and move around in the water. That goes away. So a lot of parents ask me, don't kids innately know how to swim? And the answer is no, they don't. Up until 3 months old. Sorry, I put that back.
I always wondered what age it went away. I wasn't sure when it was.
So
I knew it did.
So it's right around there. So even maybe a little bit sooner. And then what has to happen is the sensory motor teaching or cognitive teaching, something to teach them how to hold their breath again. So I'm not, up until like maybe 3, I'm not a big fan of blowing bubbles. I know some swim programs teach
3 years old or 3 months?
3 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe in them learning to hold their breath up until around that age. And some children, really, it should be 6, but there are different swim programs that are okay that teach it, but it just, blowing your breath out makes your buoyancy, makes you sink. And it either makes you sink or it makes your lungs no air in them, so that when you take a rotating breath, if you do stroke swimming, it gives you the opportunity to get a full breath. So that's the purpose in blowing air out. So it's not to make cute blowing bubbles.
Right.
So when kids are under 3, they can't understand anything other than that's cute.
Sure.
So we teach them to hold their breath, always. Everything's always about the breath.
That makes sense.
In exercise and in the pool, or prana, if you like yoga.
So what does the aquaBelly curriculum look like? What are the exercises?
So we mix.
What's a class look like?
So it's like a 50-minute class, all in the water. We use resistance. We use actual equipment. So it's not just like, even though I teach an Aqua Grand class, it's not like the water aerobics like that you just have naturally seen and people are kind of crabby in it. We use like real weights. We use real equipment, and we mix Pilates, dance, you name it, functional training, hip cell workouts, and it's all safe for all stages of pregnancy.
Okay. And then after pregnancy, what does it look like?
Then that class gets harder. That's the class that I take. Sometimes we go like half in the water and half out of the water, and it's all like a high intensity intervals training program, which means you get the most efficient workout you can in the shortest amount of time possible. And the water provides 12 times the resistance than air. So it's actually a harder workout, but it doesn't feel that way.
So you probably hate this term, but it's probably like an aquatic CrossFit?
No.
No.
And I'll tell you why.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. It's a great question, though.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you asked it. You get the same kind of hard workout in Aqua Booty or in Aqua training classes that you would in CrossFit, but you don't hurt yourself. So maybe the way CrossFit was first established,
right, like
he's awesome.
As a 15-minute, high intensity.
Yeah, and he was great. Like, he really was based on safety. He started out in San Diego, and like the programs out there are amazing, and I totally support it. But a lot of people get hurt doing CrossFit, and because they overdo things, or maybe a coach isn't watching them properly, and because they really encourage like going hard, like workout until you puke.
To failure, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't ever teach towards failure. I teach towards hope. I want people walking out of my class being happy, get fit without the sweat, like for your whole life. Like the other day, I had to do that Live Like Jake run. It was a 5K up that supports drowning prevention and awareness. And it was at Abacoa, and it was in May, and it was like humid and hot. And I was running, and I like running, and it was fun, but I have to run in the grass so I don't get shin splints. And I was sweating, and I was like, next year, no. I'm gonna like do it mobily from the ocean, and I'm gonna run in the ocean because I don't like sweating.
Nobody likes sweating.
No, some people do.
Really?
These people that do like these Tough Mudders and stuff.
Those are not people. I don't know what that is.
They're superhuman.
Yeah, anytime I can avoid sweating, it's a good day for me.
Me too.
I am not a fan.
Oh, and you don't have to get your hair wet in my class either.
Okay.
That's good news.
You just stay above the neck?
So you don't have to know how to swim either.
Okay.
So it's all shallow water aerobics because some people are afraid of swimming, and actually adults that are afraid to swim, that's kind of the hardest because they have a lot of life experience that's gotten to them to that point.
You ever teach adults how to swim?
I have.
Yeah.
I don't always.
Right.
Just mainly because I'm too busy.
Yeah. And it's harder. It's a whole different...
Right.
So, I mean, ideally someone should be specialized, just like specializing in infants or specializing in children. I think teaching adults how to swim is its own specialty.
For sure.
Probably needs its own, because they're dealing with, like you said, fear and a lifetime of circumstances. And
fear is learned.
Right, exactly.
We're not born with fear.
Right.
We're born with no fear.
Exactly.
And that's like some of my 6-month-olds. I was telling you earlier that I have like a 2-year-old that started with me when he was 6 months. He has no fear now. He just did a back dive at 2 off the side of the pool.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you said you'd videoed it, but his attire isn't the best.
His attire is not appropriate for social media.
That's funny. I thought when you were talking about the dad that talked to you, we have a video that I actually need to share again. It's like a pool safety PSA. It's animated.
Cool.
The poolsafely.gov people described it as a moving infographic. But I had a dad who lost a kid to drowning send me a Facebook message the first time I put it up 6 years ago. And he had said, if I had seen your video, my daughter would be alive. And I mean, I don't know if that's true, but he thinks so. So
he's probably right.
Maybe, it's possible because it goes through the layers of protection and, it's kind of the whole thing. But you're right. You don't realize kind of the impact that that you're having. I mean, who knows how many kids, do you have any stories of people who have had ISR lessons who have actually fallen in the pool? And rescued? So many. On a regular basis, I get messages, and it's funny because the messages that come to me, they're not like scared messages. They're actually shouting for joy. Like they're sending it to me as like a badge of like I should get like they get like the parent gets like a star for like signing their kids up with me because they're like so happy to say, oh, Logan was walking around the inside of the pool fence because we were all playing by the pool. We were in the pool, and he was walking around the inside of the fence in the deep end, and he fell in, and he just floated, and this mom and dad are super cool, and they were like, show us what you can do. Like, they just stepped back. I said, no, if he falls in the pool, grab him. Yes,
Don't
absolutely.
let him have to go to his back. No, we wanted to see if he could do it. And I'm like, all right, good job, Chancey. That's fine, but next time grab him.
Please.
They're like, no, he's fine.
Please save the kid. Yeah.
And it also is like super important when you have multiple children. I taught a mom who had 2 sets of twins.
Oh my gosh.
Under the age of 4.
What?
They lived in Delray on the Intracoastal, and their pool looked like the Playboy Mansion pool. And it had an infinity edge with like sea glass. They could not put a fence on that edge. It was not, it wouldn't,
Right.
like the glass, they had, their pool was made out of like Italian like sea glass. I mean, not sea glass, like Italian Murano glass.
Yeah.
You couldn't drill into it. It would have shattered all, it was like,
Right.
it was not built to have 2 sets of twins
Right.
in this pool.
Yeah. I'm going to say we could have figured it out, but I guess.
I think you could have.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that.
We-
Good to know.
Yes. But no, I get what you mean though, for sure. It just doesn't work sometimes.
They had,
She never sleeps, right? 2 sets of twins?
right.
No. Yeah,
No.
Yeah. She hasn't slept in 5 years.
I taught all 4 of them. Like, I have one photo of me, like, I don't know where it is, like, floating with all 4 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's the gap between the ages?
They were 3, and the olders were 3, and the younger 2 were, like, 1, or, like, yes.
Oh, that's
1.
insane. That's a crazy person. She has a nanny team or something, right?
No, she had a mother's helper a little bit, but basically all on her. No nanny team.
That's a super person.
I know, she's super.
That's amazing.
She's beautiful, too.
That's awesome. And twins, there is a weird phenomenon where twins drown together a lot. I know
It's too many stories.
You know Paul DeMello? Mm-hmm. Paul is a good friend of mine. But not just him. There's a story here locally that actually I went to high school with the dad.
Yeah.
In West Palm, there are two twins drowned. The one is still alive.
I know. I saw them at they were at Live
Yeah,
with Jake.
they were. Yeah. Yeah. It's an odd phenomenon. The number.
They're like magnets.
Yeah. I guess they're always together, and yeah, there's a lot of twins drowning stories.
Like I do it all the time. I'll submerge one gently. I don't throw them in, but I gently submerge one and one over here, and then we just watch what happens. It's like they're like this. Their heads that go together. It's crazy.
It's wild. I'm almost jealous. I always wanted a twin. They seem to get along. I don't know.
I would like a twin too.
Right?
My mom would die.
There's two of you?
Wouldn't
work out.
Just kill herself. Yeah, that would be terrible. And then we'd have to talk about a whole nother.
Right, be a whole other topic. You'd have to be an advocate of that. It'd be an issue. So if someone wants to find out about ISR, where should they go?
If you want to find out about ISR in your area, you go to www.infantswim.com.
Mm-hmm.
There's an instructor locator, and you can put your zip code in there. If it's international, I'm blanking. I know that there's another site, but there's a link right on the infantswim.com site for international. Because I know on my aquaBelly Instagram, I have a lot of international followers.
And what areas do you cover here locally for ISR?
I cover anywhere from Palm Beach down to Boca Raton.
And people come to you?
So they can come to my classes at the Boca YMCA. It's open to members and non-members.
That's cool.
It's cool. The director of the YMCA, his kids and his adopted kids and his foster children all come to lessons with me.
That's a lot of kids.
Yes, they're amazing. The family, they're awesome. They're very busy. And then I also go to private homes.
Okay, so you go privately, and the same from Palm Beach down to Boca?
Right.
Essentially Palm Beach County.
So I drive a lot.
I bet you do. And the Honda Element.
And the element.
It's driving everywhere.
Her name is Samarium.
Samarium? Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
This is an element on the periodic table.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. I really like that.
100% biochem.
Right. That's fantastic.
Orgo 2 over the summer.
That's really cool.
Sorry, I'm giving myself too many shout-outs.
No, that's perfect. And so if someone wants to find out about aquaBelly, what do they do?
You can go to www.aquabellyfitness.com, and you can go on Instagram, Facebook. You can go on, what's that other one?
Twitter. Snapchat.
No Snapchat. I can't do Snapchat.
You should.
Okay, I will, because you said so. Yeah. I trust you.
I haven't yet, but it'd be good for what you do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to get Pool Fence exciting on Snapchat, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay, cool. And if anyone wants an awesome assistant job for the summer, if anyone has like a college or high school age, I'm job advertising right now.
That's cool.
That could do it.
Yeah, nice. For what?
To handle my social media for aquaBelly.
Right on. We'll find you somebody. Why not?
Yeah, cool.
It can't be hard.
Yeah.
There's lots of people out there. Awesome. So aquaBelly, AquaBooty, aquaBelly Fitness, ISR.
Aqua Grand.
What is Aqua Grand?
Oh.
Is that for grandparents?
Yeah, it's 55 plus class.
Okay.
But it's not your grandmother's water aerobics. So in the 80s is like when we first started really having like fitness classes again. So it's like my mom's age. She doesn't want to work out with people that are like not able to travel. Like it's a harder class, and it's just for the fun and active adult.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
And is there an Aqua Grand website, or they can do it at aquaBelly?
Yeah, it's all on aquaBelly.
Aquabellyfitness.com.
Yeah, it's all on that website. All of the brands are on there.
That's the hub for everything.
It is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's
Very
fun.
good.
It's great to finally meet you.
Absolutely, for sure.
I feel like I know you because I see you online. It's a weird stalker.
Right. Everybody stalks everybody. It's fine.
It's true.
We all do it. And is there anything else you want to tell people before we're done?
Get safe, and not just because it's the summer. It's a year-round thing.
Sure.
And get healthy. It's all connected.
I would say even, especially in Florida, I'm sure it's the same in Arizona or California, in the winter months, that's when you open the doors and the windows, you want the nice air in. And I think down here we see a lot of drownings because you're trying to enjoy the nice weather outside. And even though you're not thinking about the pool, now you have open patio doors because you want to turn the AC off. So yeah, I think it's not just a summer thing, especially in the sunshine states.
It's 100% necessity.
Paul DeMello, his kids drown in the winter.
Yeah.
And he says it all the time, that it's...
There was somewhere in the central, the central of our country, I can't remember what state, the two twins, and they were staying with their grandparents at night in the winter, crawled out, and they went in an above ground pool and fell through
through the ice?
not ice, they
Through
had
the
they had a
cover?
cover. That's another thing, cut slits in your covers. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah. Our first ever...
Well, I like the rings, the solar rings better.
Right.
We have them all over California. I don't know why we don't have them in Florida.
I used to have in my pool a long time ago. They're nice. My first ever pool fence dealer back in 1991 was, I don't know if you know Marcia Kerr. She is a water safety advocate. She used to work for the Consumer Product Safety Commission. She just retired like 3 years ago. But her and her husband, Bill Kerr and Marcia Kerr, were our first ever dealers. And they were in California. And their son, Cody, drowned under a pool cover where he was doing the instructions, which they say peel it back to let the chlorine air out. And so he was doing what he was supposed to. And, their son drowned, under the cover. They didn't see him.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and that was 30 years ago almost.
So one thing that parents, my biggest thing that they say, I know we said one last thing,
You're fine.
but you were spot on that I can talk.
Yeah.
The thing is that parents think it's ugly,
Right.
or it takes away from the look of their pool.
Sure.
And I'm going to say something that's a
And-
little controversial.
And I get it because you spend a lot of money on your pool.
Uglier than a blue-faced baby, child, or person. And that may be too much for some people to handle to hear, but it's the truth. And if you want to tell people for the rest of your life that you lost a child because you wanted your pool to be aesthetically pleasing, I think that's going to be a really hard thing to live with the rest of your life.
We had someone who told us they didn't want a pool fence because they didn't want to drill holes in their deck who lost a kid.
The pool's deck can be filled back up with whatever material.
Yeah, and we have caps. When you're not using the fence, we have little plastic caps that go in the
Perfect.
holes. And we have caps with solar lights on them, so you can have like illuminated...
So cool. And then
Right?
what about getting an artist to come paint a mural on the pool fence?
I've thought of that too. Yeah, we could do like pool
Or
things.
like a glow-in-the-dark one.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I have so many solutions to these problems.
We did mesh once that had, we screen printed like fish on it,
Yeah.
which was kind of neat.
And then even if you had like little twinkles in there.
There you go.
Or like things in the eyes.
Right.
I'm an artist too, like an amateur artist.
You could bedazzle the pool fence.
Oh my God, I would love to bedazzle a pool fence. I'll come and do it.
That could be the new side project. It could be aquaBelly pool fence bedazzling.
Don't give me any more things to do,
More
please.
projects?
I can.
You watch, people are gonna come. I need my pool fence bedazzled.
I'll contract out to someone I know that can
You'll
do
be
it.
all those sequins and glitter, and
Oh yeah,
it'll be a good time.
it would be fun.
This needs to happen.
It does.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and I think we're good. We're doing one Friday, right? Who's on Friday? Okay, me either. I don't know. We'll see you Friday. Thanks.
tune
Have a great
in.
day. Yes, yeah, she'll be there. All right, have a great day.
Bye.
Ruby, good?
Oh yeah, cool. You should get on the radio with this guy and